Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody had a nice weekend. It was kind of cold here this weekend, so I spent the weekend playing mostly inside, playing video games. And among those video games, I was playing the HD remake of Twilight Princess, with the Legend of Zelda game. And I'm going to talk about that game today. I'm going to give you an idea about what it's like, and also why it is my favorite. Not just the HD remake, but Twilight Princess is my favorite of all the Zelda games that I've ever played. So, ultimately, I'm kind of cheesed that Nintendo somehow duped me out of another $50, $60. The thing that really gets me is the HD remake. It is gorgeous, and it is fun to play. But, many years ago, when the Wind Waker came out, with the Wind Waker, you got, as a bonus, just because you pre-ordered Wind Waker, came a bonus disc that included an HD remake of Ocarina of Time, the Master Quest for Ocarina of Time, and a way to play the second Legend of Zelda game on GameCube. Now, when I say HD, in that case, I'm talking about 480p, which the only way you'd ever been able to play Legend of Zelda up to that point, or Ocarina of Time, was in 240i, so 480p really looked a lot better. But beyond that, it was exactly the same game. Twilight Princess, they've redid the textures and a lot of the graphics. It's not just the fact that it's now in 1080. It's also that. But it is really pretty, and it plays very well, and they incorporate the gamepad. It's for Wii U, obviously. They incorporate the gamepad into it pretty well. So if you like Twilight Princess, or if you've never played it before, pick it up in the HD remake. It's worth it. It's really good. Things that I like about this game more than any other Zelda game are, number one, just this huge, expansive world to explore. I love the fact that it's a really big world that you can go, from place to place, and it's not just, one field with a central hub or I love the 3D, the exploration of the difference between GTA 2 and GTA 3. You know what I mean? Develops it into such a real world. But the story, I like the story very much. I think it's clean and precise, interesting, and it's a nice little, a nice twist on the Zelda motive, which we see fairly, every single time Link appears. But I enjoyed following that story very much. The sidekick character, Midna, was, of all the obnoxious sidekicks, she was the least grating. But the thing that really gets me about it more than anything else is just the art behind it. It's no different than any other Zelda game. You go through a couple of dungeons looking for these things, you go through some more looking for those things. Now that you got them all, you can fight the big baddie. That's basically what it boils down to. And that was the same in Ocarina, and in A Link to the Past, and in Link's Awakening, and in Wind Waker, and in Skyward Sword. It's really no different. It's exactly the same. But the art style in this game blows all of the rest completely out of the water. And I know some people will disagree. Some people will say, oh, it's so drab and depressing. I don't get it. I mean, do you really think that the obnoxiously bright colors of Wind Waker and Skyward Sword are better? I don't. And I'll tell you this, Breath of the Wild looks like they're going with that obnoxiously bright color scheme. I'm fine with that. That's fine with me. I don't hate it. It's just this one, it's subtle and realistic, and it always goes against Twilight. There's this theme of the light descending and the shadows coming in that serves through the entire game. But it's more than just that. It's also the fact that every enemy, every villain, every boss, every mini-boss, with one exception, is, possibly two, depending on how you look at it, is really, really well thought out, well looked at, and clean, and ominous. Like, truly adult, very scary, very mature, very serious, without getting to the point where you need it to be grotesque or bloody or vulgar. Like, everything is sinister and frightening, but it's not over the top. You know, think of it's not pushing the envelope like a Game of Thrones would. The two exceptions I speak of are in the very first dungeon. You have a baboon that has been possessed by evil spirits. It smacks its rear, and its rear shakes around. You know, that big pink rear that baboons have. I thought that was pretty dumb, and actually, since that's the first boss that you fight in the game, I kind of went, oh man, no, we're not going down this road, are we? I'm thinking, of course, of Ocarina of Time, the boss Bongo Bongo. That destroyed any potential suspension of disbelief I may have had. But fortunately, that's that. And there was one other, the Yeti. The entire Yeti dungeon was. Every time you met the Yetis, I just kind of went, well, wait, what's going on here? Why are these guys living in this place? I didn't get it. But the second time around, knowing that it was coming, I didn't find it nearly as jarring. I mean, the first time, it just kind of, this doesn't make any sense. In fact, the entire Frozen Peak area of Twilight Princess is a little goofy. At least the second half of it. So the detractors will say that it's drab. I disagree. I think it's very serious and mature. They'll also say that the land is sparse and unpopulated. I'll give you that. I mean, you got the several different villages and a couple of other establishments along the way, and that's basically it. That's what you get in any Zelda game. It's not Skyrim. I'm hoping that Breath of the Wild makes it a little more populated, the area where you're exploring. The other thing is the actual layout and the flow of the story. There's never a big opening aha moment where now everything is totally open to you. It's given to you a little bit at a time, which I like. I like that it's fed to you slowly. But typically what you have is then it opens it up, and now there's a reason to go out and really go and explore everything. You never really get that. And it's doled out to you slowly, and I think that drags a bit much. In particular, there are some hunting quests in the early game where one of them's not bad, but you have to do 3 of them, and 3 is way too many. You do have to sit through that for a while. You probably know that you have to. You are, as Link, able to go from a wolf to a man, and that's a big factor in the game. I think that's really cool. Problem is, there's a big chunk of the game where you have to be one or the other, and that kind of irks me a little bit. It just goes too far. But it really does progress you through the story, and makes it so that there's never a, well, what am I supposed to be doing now kind of a thing. And I appreciate that. So then, the last thing is just the ease. It is, without a doubt, the easiest Zelda game I've ever played. There's just no doing about it. And it's not that it's not challenging, or that it's the puzzles are too easy, or that I died a lot. It's all of the above. I mean, the bosses are great. You know, having to figure out how to kill them is awesome. But once you figure it out, they go down like I don't know, what do things go down like? Paper tiger, sack of potatoes? I don't know. Some metaphor or simile. I hardly ever needed to use my bottled heart refilling items. I did a couple of times, but that's because I was being lazy. I don't think I ever died, and there were opportunities in the HD remake where you get even more health refilling items by playing the bonus games in that version of the game. And I think it's ridiculous. There's absolutely no need. Now, in the HD remake, you can play on hardcore mode, which seems cool. So if you want a challenge, I would suggest doing that. But then the other thing is the puzzles. There's never a point where I had to stop and think, wait, what am I supposed to do here? With one exception, but that was just me being silly, so I won't count that. It's always, there's one locked door, and there's a chest over there, let's go get it. Hey, look, a key! You know, there's never a, God, I just gotta find the compass because I cannot figure out where these keys are. There's never a moment like that. And I would always experience that. Wind Waker, I can't stand the game Wind Waker. I really don't like it. I don't like the story, and I don't like the overworld. The overworld is, you want to talk about a bleak overworld, that's bleak. Some of the biggest islands are tiny. And the only thing you have to explore is this giant empty ocean with, a couple of islands on it. And each island, most of them are about the size of a picnic table. But the dungeons in that game were great. I will give you that. So, if you haven't ever played Twilight Princess, I strongly recommend that you do. It is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It has its flaws, especially the challenge. The puzzles are not going to stretch you. If you've ever played a Zelda game before, the puzzles are not going to stretch you. They will intrigue you, though. They're fun. And then the boss fights, again, they're fun, but they're not going to challenge you. Maybe you should try hardcore mode. I probably should have. But regardless, I'm at the office now. I hope you guys pick up that game. I want to hear, what is your favorite Legend of Zelda game? What did you think of Twilight Princess? You loved Wind Waker, didn't you? I know where you are. Go ahead, comment. Anyway, I want to hear about you. And either way, have a nice day.